Philomena has already won accolades and has been nominated for 4 Oscars, but in the end, Philomena Lee got the answers she was looking for after her journalist companion cornered an elderly nun.
I'm not leaving until she answers my question.
An invasion of privacy or a justifiable method in the pursuit of truth? Well, earlier I spoke to Steve Coogan and I asked him which journalist he identifies with, Alan Partridge or Martin Sixsmith.
There's definitely a bit of me in Alan Partridge because, of course, Alan Partridge is sort of how I exercise all those views I know are wrong and reprehensible, and it's like a dustbin for those things. So, and it gives you license to sort of air those views you think are perhaps... Normally, most people have an editing process. When they say things, they might think something that they know is wrong, and they stop themselves saying it. With Alan Partridge, you just say everything that comes into your head. The Martin Sixsmith is the real Martin Sixsmith who I spoke to about when I came to write the script. There's also the Martin Sixsmith that I play in the film, and that's... And in the film, I made him more cynical and acerbic, and that is me, but it's also an exercise in learning not to be cynical. The film itself is very uncynical, but of course the way I play Martin is cynical, and I recognise that cynicism in me, and really the film is, in some ways, it's me railing against postmodern cynicism.
Well, when you put your foot in the door, when about to try and question the gay lover of Judi Dench's long-lost son, I immediately thought, here is an actor playing a journalist at the very moment, and you must have been recording it at the very moment when he was one of the big voices in Hacked Off.
Yeah.
Did you make that connection?
I didn't actually think... some people have drawn the observation and said, you play a journalist in a very sympathetic way, as if I'm somehow anti-journalist. I'm not, of course I'm not. You know, I admire public interest journalism just as much as anyone else. I mean, but people say, I like journalists, I like the good ones, I just don't like the bad ones. To me, the whole Leveson thing was, it's about David and Goliath. Sometimes the Goliath is our sort of... if you like, Machiavellian organisations that need to be brought to book, and the journalist is the David, but sometimes the journalist, the newspaper is the Goliath, and the David is the sort of innocent victim of some crime or some personal occurrence that is abused by the newspaper and the journalist.
But you invested so much in this, and was it really worth it in the end?
That's yet to be decided, I mean, Harold Evans said...
I mean, as a cynic myself, though perhaps not quite as cynical as the character you play in the film, I slightly suspect nothing will ever happen.
Well, you know, if you believe in something, my involvement in Hacked Off is entirely sincere, and I think Hacked Off is still is a sincere organisation. No one's paying us. The people on the other side of the argument are being paid by the vested interests of the 5 people who control the newspaper industry.
Can I just ask you about, because it's very, very current, the sudden death of Philip Seymour Hoffman. What do you think it is about acting, tension, I don't know, depression, pressure, that exists within this extraordinary performance art, and which perhaps produces a rather, well, perhaps rather more drug activity than is in the normal professions?
I think, I mean, first of all, Philip Seymour Hoffman was a fantastic actor. He was a consummate professional. He was someone who shows that you can be an artist in something that sometimes becomes about the bottom line and a business, that you can still make successful films and have integrity, which he did. But clearly there are people who however successful they are, and this is an Academy Award-winning actor, who end up in this place of despair where they have to resort to, and we don't know the full facts of it, but it seems on first look that it was to do with drugs and drug dependency, and that's tragic, and it shows.
But it's very difficult for us this side of the footlights to see what those pressures really are. Is it constant performance, or sometimes lack of performance, or what is going on?
I think there's certainly a lack of stability in the industry that I'm in, that where you're sort of that you need to hang on to those things that are important, and often you can become subsumed in this process where you're being different people and you're existing in different artistic environments, and then you have these intense relationships where you have to lay yourself on the line and expose yourself emotionally, and then the next minute you're sort of cut loose and you have to sort of fit back into society. So And it's always very difficult because, of course, when people do die in these situations who are successful, then the light gets shone on them, because there's lots of people who suffer from drug-related illness, not just famous people. So the thing is, it affects everybody. That's what you should learn from it. It doesn't particularly affect well-known people. It's just that when it does happen to well-known people, it becomes a matter for discussion.
Steve Coogan talking to me earlier, and you can see a longer version of that interview with him on our website. Go to channel4.com/news.